being young is one of the most important stages of life. It is a stage in which you are faced with decision making. It is a stage in which you experience changes in your body. It is a stage in which you have to interact with the surrounding environment. It is a stage in which everything affects you. But also, it is a wonderful period of life, a wonderful stage that if you use it well, the rest of your life will be meaningful. Welcome to the Ebenezer Show, 20 Minutes with Dr. Gordon on youth, sex, and morality. That is good to have you.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
It's good to have you here.
Thank you so much.
And we want to talk about youth, and then we'll talk about sex and morality. And of all people out there, I believe you are the right person to host in this program. Let's talk about young people. You work in sexual reproductive health and right. You engage in social media and other forms of activism. When you talk about young people in South Sudan, especially in the 21st century, what do you say about them?
Thank you so much for, first of all, giving me this opportunity. And one thing is that young people starts from just the time someone is born until a certain age. Now, let's first categorize ourselves into, first of all, children below the age of 18, and then we look at between 18 to 35, and then we can get the other age bracket later on. While growing up, personally, is that I grew up most of my time in the refugee camp.
Okay.
By then in the Zaire, which is now the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Congo DRC itself, and of course Congo Brazzaville, and then to Uganda. And growing up is that there are a lot of changes that happens in our bodies. And of course, among the changes are either biological or social changes that are ascribed, or how the society wants us to grow as young people. And because of that, you find that most young people, let's say most children, are experimental. They will want to touch everything, and they will want to get to know every information.
For people like me, I did not get any of this teaching from my parents.
Me too.
I got it in the biology subjects. Do you call me lucky or unlucky?
You're one of the lucky persons, but again, I remember in primary, biology teachers do not go so deep into the discussion when you talk about reproductive health, when you talk about menstrual health. They just cover it a little bit shallow, and then they leave. And yet that is one of the most interesting topics in a biology class. And that's why even in school, when we go through sciences and you're talking about the reproductive health of a man or of a woman, or in biology itself in secondary school, like there is that fear even within the teachers and within the learners. When a question is asked, people are hesitant, because there is that belief by then that when you know more about the topic, then you're practicing it.
You are likely to practice it.
In fact, you're already practicing it, and you're learning out of experience.
So growing up in a camp, how do you define your experience when you started to see some changes in your body, and where did you learn from your parents or from the school?
First thing is, let's talk about my life in Zaire. In Zaire, I remember we went to Zaire in 1991. And of course, that peer pressure is there. But then there was no moment that I sat down, or my mother sat me down, or any of my uncles sat me down to have a conversation on what is happening in my body. It is happening. They will learn by themselves. That was the phrase given.
We move forward. Well, we are in that stage where you begin to see changes in your body, and then there are moments, or at at some point, they begin to feel that urge for pleasure.
Yeah. And all this because of peer influence, all this because of lack of information.
Yeah. That urge of pleasure, is it something that is easy to control?
We are talking of emotions. We are talking of hormones. I will say it is not easy to control for several. There are several factors because one, we are talking of hormones, and secondly is the information aspect, as I said earlier on, that if you have the right information that, hey, if you have sex, there are high chances you will impregnate her, all of you will drop out of school, there are high chances you will get HIV, and we will enroll you on antiretroviral, that is ARVs, and there are many things that will definitely happen. Yeah, we are talking of hormones. We are talking of feelings, like something internal that, to me, it is hard to control because we don't talk about sex.
Being in activism in this area of sexual and reproductive health, how do we help these girls to prevent, or these girls or these boys to prevent themselves from the danger of sexual transmitted diseases or from early pregnancy or any other vices that may affect them?
One thing is that we, first of all, before I get into about 5 major things, one thing is we should be the right sources of information to our children. If we are not the right sources of information, then we are the first problem to our children. Now, let's get into what people normally know as ABC.
ABC.
But now we have D and E added. We know A is
Let's talk about the ABC first, and then we go to the C.
We have the abstinence, the being faithful, and the use of the condom. Now let's talk of abstinence. We usually encourage young people to abstain. But believe me, abstinence is more of a theory than practical. Abstinence, you can abstain
for
easily,
a certain period of time.
Yes, easily when you don't have a sexual partner or a girlfriend or a lover or a boyfriend. You can abstain. You can also abstain even if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. You can abstain.
And that is the most difficult part.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's tackle that part of how do you abstain when you have a sexual partner?
And that is where I'm coming into. I dated a lady, and that was when I was still in senior 4 and she was in P5. And the first thing she told me was, "Data, I am a virgin, and in our culture, if I lose my virginity before marriage, it is a shame to my parents. If you don't mind, please, let's wait until
we get married.
Then we'll have sex." We had a discussion on that, and we agreed. And I remember once in a while, like 2 different occasions, we even spent 2 separate nights, the same bed, but we didn't have sex.
Without doing it.
First of all, she was scared that I was not going to adhere to that. But then I kept it as a principle. So abstinence is more of a theory than a practical. The B part is being faithful. And being faithful means being faithful to only one partner. If you have 2 girlfriends, if you have 2 wives, if you have one girlfriend and one wife, which they say maybe one wife and a side dish or what.
It is going to be impossible under the sun. You have a
husband and a side cook or what?
It is going to be impossible under this sun to be faithful.
There is nothing called faithfulness when you have two partners. Faithfulness means one husband, one wife, or one boyfriend, one girlfriend. Finished.
Full stop.
That is it. So that is another way of preventing whether unintended pregnancies or sexual transmitted infections, including HIV. The C part is condom, using condom consistently and effectively. They usually say condoms are 98% effective.
98%
effective.
That means you still have 2% chance.
The 2% is how do you even remove the condom? How do you fix the condom? And after sexual intercourse, how do you remove and dispose the condom?
Now, this third part, the C, who are we addressing here? We are addressing that guy who has a wife, but is having also another side chick. We are talking to those who have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 girlfriends, those who cannot remain faithful at all under the sun.
Okay. Now, this is it. We are addressing everyone.
We are addressing everyone.
We are addressing everyone because we said condoms are used for prevention of unintended pregnancy, sexual transmitted infections, including HIV and AIDS.
And at that, you are well known in, not just in Juba, but in South Sudan, for promoting the third concept, condomize and don't compromise.
Yeah.
The question is, why do you put so much focus on the use of condom?
Okay, there are many reasons. First of all, I will want to say this. As I said earlier on, abstinence is more of a theory.
Yeah.
And when you look at South Sudan, there is a saying that we've lost a lot of people during the war. We need to produce. Many people, especially women, fear conceiving than HIV. So they will rather rush for emergency contraceptive pills than preventing HIV. You know, the sexual network is something that we do not really look at so much. And we are ready to be going to the health facility to buy emergency contraceptive pills to prevent pregnancy, but we are going unprotected in our sexual intercourse. And yet we don't know what is happening. We don't know our status.
That is what inspired you to focus on that. Now let's tackle the D part quickly and the E part, because these are the two new concepts that may not be well known. We already know A, B, C. What is D and E?
D means discuss.
You discuss with your...
You discuss abstinence, you discuss condom use, you discuss being faithful. Don't be like, now you just, the girl arrives, what, you now want to have sex, and then like, and we need to use condom. And there's no condom.
Surprising MC is completely out of the hook.
So let's have that discussion.
And what about E?
E is educate.
Educate.
You have to, if I have the information, I should be able to inform Sunday. If Sunday has the information, Sunday should be able to inform me. For example, let's say we are being faithful, right? And we are not ready to have a child. And Sunday will be like, these are my safe days. Of course, I might not know. But Sunday will tell me these are my safe days. If we are going to have unprotected sex, we'll have it on these days. If we are going to have it on these other days, we must use condom. So she has already educated me on her cycle. So these are certain things that comes in with education.
The abstinent part is mostly what the religious organizations used to focus on. To avoid problem, just abstain. If you cannot abstain, get for yourself one sexual partner and be faithful to him or her. If you cannot be faithful to her, use a condom. apart from that, even in the process of whether to use condom or not, you need to have a discussion, an open discussion with your the sexual partner, so that nothing is surprise to any of them. Finally, you can have a much more better information than your other partner. It is your responsibility to educate. Now, let's talk about the issue of morality. Like when we reach the point of condom, you just said we are addressing everybody.
Yeah.
It may not be right or it may not be wrong. Where does morality comes here? All that we have been talking about, we have been talking about safety, keeping young people safe. Where does morality comes in this case?
Okay, thank you. One thing is that we are talking of a health issue. A health issue that from a public health point of view, I don't look at the moral aspect.
Okay.
I look at, I've given you the information to abstain.
Yeah.
Are you doing that? You're not. I've given you the information to have only one sexual partner and be faithful to that sexual partner. Are you doing that or not? But I've also given you the information that even with your one sexual partner, you can still use a condom. It does not mean using condom promotes immorality.
Yeah.
Using condoms, as I said, is also to prevent unintended pregnancies. And same as some cultures will look at abstinence when they value virginity, and they will not look at the faithful part. They will look at the morality. They push the morality aspect to the woman. The woman must be moral.
Yeah.
Only one husband, and that is all. But on the husband can marry as many as he wants. You see the conflicting part now there, from cultural point of view.
Unfairness here.
There is unfairness there. Religious-wise, yes, they focus on that. Abstain. If you're going to have a partner, one partner, and be faithful to that partner.
So if you abstain, this is a moral issue.
Yes.
If you remain faithful to a one partner, this is a moral issue.
Yes.
If you refuse to abstain and you cannot stay with one person and you continue to move, this is a moral issue. And then it is changed to immorality.
Yes, that is the thing.
However, we are having this conversation so that you can make a choice. The conclusion of the matter is you have a choice to make, to keep your health and to keep yourself morally clean. That depends on you. Otherwise, thank you, Dr. Gordon, for joining me into this conversation and for sharing your skills and your knowledge and your experience with people. And I believe when parents do their best, when we expose our children, the young adolescents, to the right education on sex and these sensitive issues, they will be in a position to make informed decisions. And for you who's a young man or young women, after getting all these informations, the choice is yours. You keep yourself safe and keep somebody also safe. And we will really encourage that we have these conversations on sex education in every environment or every setting we may be in. Otherwise, we thank you, brothers and sisters, parents, guardians, and all activists, and the church leaders, the mothers, and all who have been listening to this. We are having this conversation so that you can make an impact. Thank you, Dr. Gordon, for joining me.
Thank you.
Be blessed. Thank you. See you next time.